Today, I'm going to share a mid-year update about how our homeschool year is going. Welcome back. We are currently smack dab in the middle of the 2021-2022 school year, and today I thought I would just share with you how things are going. I'd grab a cup of coffee and just kind of pretend that I'm having you over and we are talking about how our homeschool year is going. Now, in case you're new around here, my name is Sarah and we are in our 10th year of homeschooling. Yep. Been doing it for a decade. I am homeschooling 5 kids, and like so many of you, I don't necessarily love assigning grade levels to all of them, but I do think it is helpful for videos like this just so you can kind of get a feel for where we are in our schooling. So my oldest is in 8th grade, and then I have a 7th grader, a 2nd grader. My 4th child is in preschool. He's about to turn 4, and he is doing a hybrid model of going to an actual classroom and attending a preschool, and then also doing a little bit of homeschool preschool with me here at home. And then I have a 2-year-old toddler as well. Now, if you have seen any of my recent videos this year, you know that our homeschool year has not gone as planned. Things kind of went off the hinges for us. Life has definitely thrown us some curveballs recently, but I actually think this has been one of the healthiest things for me as homeschool mama and for our homeschool. It has really forced me to have perspective about what works in our homeschool and what's not, and what a need is in our day-to-day school life, and what are just things that are extras and wants and kind of the icing on the cake. And so honestly, it's kind of weird to say this, but I am so thankful for this season in our homeschool life because, again, I just feel like I have gotten some much needed perspective about our curriculum choices and how I want to keep doing things moving forward. So let's just jump right into it. I'm going to kind of go through subject by subject and just share the struggles that we've been having, the challenges that we've had, and some of the wins, some of the things that are working really well in our homeschool. All right, so we're going to start off with math because honestly, that is the first subject we usually tackle in our homeschool outside of Bible. So we have been lifelong Math UC homeschoolers. We have used it from the very beginning with my oldest son, who is 14. When he first started preschool kindergarten, we started out with Math UC, and we have never stopped, have loved the program all the way through. Now, Noah and Leah, my upper middle school 7th and 8th graders, they are both in pre-algebra. And my 2nd grader, who is 8 years old, she is in beta. As I said in my Q1 fall update, my kids were running just a little bit behind where I wanted them to be in their math books. I mean, as homeschoolers, being behind is kind of, you know, a meaningless thing. You are where your kids are and where their skills are taking them. But where I wanted us to be for the school year, we were running a few weeks behind. And so math has just been something that has been a priority in our homeschool this quarter. I have made sure if we get nothing else done, we have gotten math done. And so the kids have really sped up and gotten actually probably ahead of where I wanted them to be at this point in the school year, which is such a blessing and so great. Now, as I have mentioned before, pre-algebra is quite the jump in Math UC. It takes a lot of time and energy and effort on my older kids' parts to tackle these lessons. There are some difficult stuff in here. We take our time. I actually took some of your guys' advice. Thank you on how to do grading as we have been doing Math UC. I let my kids self-grade their worksheets every single day just to make sure that they're getting a really good understanding on those math concepts. And then once a week, I go through and I grade their tests. This has been a really great system for our family, so thank you guys who have suggested it. Now, Mariah, my 2nd grader, who has been using beta, I have mentioned before that we like to add on a lot of extras and hands-on activities for her with math, and so I wanted to share a few things that we've been using this quarter that we've just absolutely loved. First of all, you may have seen this in some of my other videos, but this is my new 100 frame that I got from Treasures from Jennifer. I have a lot of different inserts and things to go with this. You can use it for all kinds of things in your homeschool. But in particular, Mariah has enjoyed using these little rainbow rainbow wool balls. She will take these to count to 100 and, you know, put them in rainbow order. I also have these boxes of numbers. These are the 100 pegged coins. I also did the letters as well. And these are just little wooden pegged coins that fit in the 100 frames, so you can almost use it like a puzzle. So she will use this for skip counting. I'll have her do her 5s or her 2s or her 10s. Sometimes I'll just have her build the entire 100 board just to get used to, you know, using those numbers and saying those numbers. She uses this a couple times a week in different ways, and so it's just been a really fun hands-on activity for her to use. Now, alongside of that, something else that we have really been working on this school year with Mariah is just kind of doing math drills or flashcards, really making sure she has all of those addition and subtraction facts down packed, because I have learned, I've made mistakes before. If you move too quickly through math and they don't know those by like the back of their hand, when you get into upper math, you're gonna pay for it. So I have been making sure she's been doing some flashcard work and some drills and things every single day. And I'm really picky about flashcards. I don't know about you guys. I like to have math flashcards that cover every single fact. I don't want any to be missing. I want every single one to be in there. And I actually found these on Rainbow Resource. This is the subtraction set. They are called Math in a Flash, and they are these really nice color-coded flashcards. Sorry, there's a plastic coating on here, so it's kind of making it shiny. They come on a ring with a little hole punch in the corner. Makes it really easy for you as mama to go through and pick out the different flashcards that you really want your child to be working on. Let's say they're having, you know, trouble with +9s or -2s. You could just pick out those individual flashcards and you'd be able to easily find them because of the color coding. I went ahead, I picked up the addition, the subtraction, as well as the multiplication cards for these, even though we're not quite there yet. So these have been great. Absolutely love these specific flashcards. Moving on to language arts, specifically phonics. Sadly, somehow along the making of this video, I accidentally deleted my talk about Happy Cheetah reading. So I'm just going to put in some clips of Mariah actually working in her Happy Cheetah workbooks from a few weeks back. Happy Cheetah is going wonderfully. We just absolutely love this phonics and reading program. As I have mentioned in some of my videos previously, Mariah and I are intentionally working pretty quickly through this program. She actually doubles up on most days and does 2 lessons. This works really well for her. It seems to be a really good pace, and we are just really enjoying the process. She loves the diversity of activities, from the hands-on letters to spelling boxes, copy work. It's just such a wonderful program, and honestly, I can't imagine it going any better. Now, that being said, I do add on some additional readers for her, specifically from Sing, Spell, Read, and Write. I will be sure to include a link for those down below in the description box. Along that same vein with phonics, something else that has worked really, really well are these Explode the Code workbooks. I have used these in our homeschool for a really long time. But my recommendation with these is I tend to level my kids down in these so that they can work on them completely independently. And I like to use these workbooks as kind of confidence builders. I want them to be pretty easy for Mariah to do so that she can just sit and work on them while I'm working with someone else on another subject. It's one of the small ways that I like to kind of encourage independent learning and independent work from a young age, is to just these little moments and little seeds you plant now will really pay off later when you get into the middle school years. And then moving on to spelling. Now, Happy Cheetah is a full language arts curriculum. You do not have to put spelling or handwriting or anything with it. It is an all-in-one curriculum. However, that being said, we have used Spelling You See in our homeschool for several years. Mariah has watched her older siblings use it, and she wants to do it with them, wants to do it too. So I went ahead and added on Spelling You See Jack and Jill for her. This is level B. She is really enjoying the nursery rhymes in these books, and she just loves having that extra spelling practice. And again, it only takes 10 minutes a day, so why not? All right, and then so for Noah and Leah, they are both finishing levels E and levels F. They only have, I don't know, 2 or 3 lessons each in those spelling workbooks, and then I will continue to move them on up to the next level. This is one of the things I love about Spelling UC is that it is not grade-based, it is skill-based, and so we tend to switch workbooks mid-year or in the spring or just whenever our kids complete one, we just move on to the next book. And so we will be moving up in these spelling books in the next few weeks. All right, so let's talk about grammar. I am happy to report that we finally cracked open analytical grammar in January. We are about 4 lessons in, and let me tell you, this curriculum does not disappoint. It is very in-depth, very challenging, definitely appropriate for those upper middle school to high school age children. Now, honestly, I think we are going to have to take a little bit of a step back with this. I think we have bitten off a little bit more than we can chew. I had originally planned to tackle this entire book in 1 year. There are 30 lessons or 30 weeks in the book, and I had planned on doing it in 1 school year. And after getting into about 3 or 4 lessons, I quickly realized that this is a lot. And I'm going to actually do one of the other suggested pacings with this course. And there are 3 seasons, essentially, or 3 units or years worth of grammar. One of the suggested ways to schedule this course is to just do 1 season or 1 unit per year, 10 weeks worth of curriculum. And then what they also say that you can do is you could do like 1 week of grammar and then 1 week of writing, 1 week of grammar and then 1 week of writing, and that could fill out your entire school year. And honestly, this paired with our other language arts, it's a lot. So we're gonna definitely just try to tackle the season 1 first 10 lessons in this book, and then I will probably incorporate this into their high school English or high school language arts courses. If you guys are interested, leave me a comment down below. I could do a video just devoted to a flip through and maybe a light review of analytical grammar, at least what we have gotten into so far. So if you would be interested in that, let me know down below. All right, and then speaking of writing, we love IEW, Institute for Excellence in Writing. Noah and Leah have been doing the year 1 level B course this year. They do the video DVDs that go along with it from Andrew Poudwa. It has just been so much fun. They have been writing 1 paper a week, going through 1 lesson a week, and they mostly are enjoying Mr. Poudwa's jokes. He tells a joke every week on the DVD and they think they are hilarious, and they go to church every week and tell their friends about the newest joke they heard from him. And so it's just been a really fun curriculum. Now, I can definitely see major improvements in my kids' writings this year. Every week I am just seeing more and more that they are just kind of leveling up in the amount of dress-ups that they're putting in the styles that they are using. IEW is just such a unique way of teaching writing, and it is definitely connecting and working for my kids. So the last area of language arts I want to cover are read alouds or literature. This was something that I mentioned back in Q1 was one of my big goals for this school year, was to get back in the habit of reading aloud every single day to my kids. And also beefing up the amount of reading they are doing here in the Midwest in the winter. It is honestly the perfect time to get a lot of reading in because we're stuck indoors, it's cold, it's nice to just cozy up by the fire and read. And so I am happy to report that the kids have done a lot more reading this quarter. I have gotten back in the habit of reading aloud to them very imperfectly, have not been doing it every day, but definitely several times a week. I have been reading a few chapters here and there. It's the beginning of February and we just finished our Christmas read alouds, but that's okay. We really enjoyed them. In particular, the holiday concert. The kids just absolutely loved that book. So that was a lot of fun to read aloud to them this year. Moving forward, next quarter, I am really hoping to get back into the habit of pairing read alouds that are going along with the units that we are doing from Gather Round. So that's my goal for next quarter in reading. All right, so speaking of Gather Round, let's just jump right in and talk about group subjects and unit studies. So I'm sad to say that try as I might, no matter what I did, we just could not tackle a full unit from Gather Round this semester. We have actually not done a single full unit from Gather Round all year, which is just bizarre because Gather Round has been the core of our homeschool the last few years. And so it's been really strange to homeschool without it. That being said, we did do the Christmas Around the World mini unit back in December, and it was just a breath of fresh air. It added so much to our homeschool, so much enjoyment, so much enrichment, and so much connection and together time with my kids. I feel like that's probably one of my favorite things about Gather Round is it really just helps to build relationship in our home. And so after Christmas, I definitely decided that that is going to be my number one goal for this next semester is getting back into the habit of Gather Round. So starting here this week, we are going to be doing inventions and ideas. I had originally planned to do the farming unit. I didn't bring that up here. The farming and food unit. But as I went through and really kind of dug in and looked through the table of contents, I realized that I want to save that unit for when the weather is a little bit nicer here in Ohio. There are so many different things that we could do, especially with my brother and their homestead. We can go and see live chickens and cows and travel to different places to actually see some of these things up close and personal. And that's not something I really want to do when it's snowing and 25 degrees outside. So we are going to wait and tackle that maybe later in the spring or even over the summer. So I'm super excited to do inventions and ideas. I have been very busily planning and prepping this unit, and a plan and prep video will be coming your guys' way very soon, so be on the lookout for that. All right, next up, history. My older kids, my 7th and 8th grader, they have been using U.S. History Detective Book 1. This is from the Critical Thinking Company. Last time I updated you guys about this, I said that we were really, really loving it. And I have to say I have to walk that back a little bit. My kids like it. They are doing very well and learning a lot. But it is just a little bit tedious, monotonous. Every single lesson is very, very similar, where you are reading and answering questions and doing a written response. Reading, answering multiple choice questions, and doing a written response. And for my kids, it's just a little bit too traditional of a schooling. It's one of the reasons I homeschool is that I don't want learning to be overly monotonous or day in and day out exactly the same for my kids. I think that this curriculum would do really well if it was paired with some really great living books or, good literature to be paired with it. Some hands-on projects or different things like that to go with it. It just definitely needs beefed up just a little bit, not in its content or how much it's challenging them to learn, but just to make it a little bit more interesting, a little bit more personal. All right, and then science. Noah and Leah have been working through God's Design for the Physical World. There are actually 3 books in this series. I just grabbed one from downstairs. They finished this book, Heat and Energy, earlier in the year. They are almost done with Machines and Motion. And then the last book in this series is about inventors, which is perfect because we're getting ready to do that unit and Gather Round. Now, this curriculum is marketed for 3rd to 8th graders. And so I would definitely say for Noah and Leah being in 7th and 8th grade, this is not an overly rigorous or challenging curriculum for them. We do it very simply. They read a chapter every day and then answer a few review questions and do a written narration for me about what they learn. Sometimes we'll add in a hands-on activity or an experiment to go along with what they're doing. But we have used this very simply this year just out of necessity because of all the things going on in life. I just needed very simple science for them this year. They really like this. They really enjoy it. I just think that they probably could use a little bit more of a challenge for their age range. But in general, I think that this is a wonderful curriculum for elementary school, for middle school. Another area, I do categorize this under school, although my kids would do Bible whether we were homeschooling or not. Let's see if I can get this in focus. Come on. So Mariah has been reading through this, the Beginner's Bible. I think I have mentioned to you all before that my kids call this the Googly Eye Bible because everybody has these big white googly eyes. But this has been a really great Bible for her to use this year. She can read it on her own with very little assistance from me. It is just really great for a second or third grade reading level if you are looking for a Bible for your kids to read on their own. Well, is it burnt?
I don't think it's burnt.
Okay, I'll be down in a second. I'll come help you check it. Noah and Leah have been working through the Not Consumed Bible studies. I'm sure maybe you guys have seen these before. My Brother's Keeper. There's one about contentment. I bought the big multi-pack of all of these, and they have been going really well. Again, these are Bible studies that they are able to do completely on their own. My kids have enjoyed that each one comes with its own pen and button. They just think that's really fun, and stickers. They're able to get through these in about 20-ish minutes every morning. And according to them, they're really getting a lot out of them and enjoying them. So I would definitely recommend Not Consumed. All right, so updates about other areas of our homeschool. I still have not been able to do morning time. I did find all of our supplies in a box downstairs. I found my poetry books, but I just have not been able to implement that back into our routine just yet. Hopefully, this spring we will get back into the habit of morning time. I find that when you have to take a really big break or run on fumes for a while, it takes a while to kind of build back in all of those subjects and all of those different areas that you were working on previously. And so I'm just trying not to put too much pressure on myself and just adding in little things here and there. Two other areas that are still shelved and I'm not planning on bringing back to our homeschool just yet are any type of formal preschool curriculum. I had purchased something specifically for Ezra and Ava to do this year that just did not happen. I'm probably not going to even try to get to that until this summer or maybe even next year with them. The other thing was I bought Exploring Nature with Children. I had really high hopes of doing some really intense nature studies with the kids this year. Again, it just hasn't happened. Probably once the weather turns, I will be a little bit more motivated, and so will they, to get back outside and do some nature journaling. So I'm hoping to bust that out in the spring. We'll just have to wait and see. All right, so let's just talk about a few takeaways that I have learned this quarter in our homeschool. If you have been following along, you know that we are in the process of creating a school space for our kids, a dedicated homeschool room for them to do their schoolwork in. And this has been really, really fun, but it's also been challenging because all school year, my kids have not had a homeschool room to work in. They have been working in all kinds of areas, in their bedrooms, at the kitchen table, on the floor, on the couch, in the van while we're at extracurricular activities. School has been happening in all kinds of places, and this has taught me a lot. Again, you do not need a homeschool space to homeschool your kids. You can homeschool from anywhere. But one of the challenges that I have found with that is that my kids tend to misplace items for school quite a lot. We spend way too much time on a daily basis looking for a math book or looking for our spelling books. So I'm really looking forward to the school space being finished and having a dedicated spot for them to store all of their curriculum, and just for us to be able to be all together down in the basement. Of course, the stools are still on back order that I purchased for our schoolroom, so it still may be a few more weeks before we can do school day in and day out in that room, but it's coming and I'm excited for it. Another big thing that I learned this quarter was that a quick trip to the library can sometimes be the best medicine for our homeschool. If I feel like we are struggling or just not getting some things done that I want to get accomplished, just throwing the kids in the van, running over to the library and letting them peruse for a little bit, letting them bring home some new books to read. It really helps to bring back the excitement and the enjoyment in our homeschool, and it fills in a ton of gaps. I feel like reading can really just cover any subject in your homeschool that you feel is lacking. So maybe I wasn't getting to enough of those science or history lessons with Mariah. So running over to the library and just picking up some new, let's read and find out books, that covers it. And it just makes me feel better. And she doesn't even know that. So the library has really been a great solution for our homeschool during this season. All right, so the last thing I want to mention here, and I can't even believe I'm saying this out loud, we are entering our very last semester before high school, and I'm feeling a little bit overwhelmed about that, a little bit terrified, and a little bit excited. There's a part of me that really just wants to hit the books hard and cover all the things and get Noah and Leah really prepared for those high school years. And then the other half of me is like, whoa, stop, slow down, let's enjoy this time together. I don't know why I feel like there's more pressure on my shoulders for high school. Maybe it's because of grading and because of transcripts and things like that. It just feels more formal or more official. But there's half of me that wants to buckle down and do more, and the other half that wants to slow down and just really enjoy this time. So that being said, if any of you are in that same spot where you are starting to feel that pressure of high school, know that you're not alone. So if you could, say a prayer for me as I am trying to figure out what our homeschool is going to look like next year, as I am balancing high school and preschool and all the things in between. I'm really feeling challenged planning what our school days are going to look like next year. All right, guys. Well, I hope that this was fun and encouraging for you guys. I really enjoy making videos like this. It's a really good accountability for me just to talk through how things are going in our homeschool, what's working, what's not, what's challenging, what's going well. These are actually the type of videos I find myself watching the most often on YouTube. All right, guys, well, I hope that your school year is going really well. See you later.